Imagine a king born into a golden age, heir to a powerful and stable dynasty. He was supposed to continue a legacy of greatness, but instead, his story became a quiet lesson in just how fragile power can be. This is the tale of Neferefre, the king who never finished. When Neferefre was born, around the mid-25th century BC, Egypt was at a peak. He was the son of Neferefre, a major ruler of the 5th dynasty. This was a time of immense wealth and stability. The country was peaceful, trade was flourishing, and the administration was a well-oiled machine. But the nature of kingship itself had changed. The era of building colossal pyramids like those at Giza was fading. Power wasn't just about massive stone monuments anymore. It was deeply intertwined with religion, specifically the powerful sun cult of Ra. The pharaohs of this dynasty saw themselves as sons of the sun god, and their role was as much about priestly duties and managing the temples as it was about ruling the land. Priests held enormous influence, and the temples controlled vast estates. Neferefre was born into this system, a system that worked beautifully. He inherited a kingdom that was secure, prosperous, and religiously unified. His path seemed clear: ascend the throne, rule as a divine intermediary, and build his own monument to eternity, just like his father and grandfather before him. The stage was set for another long, successful reign, but fate had other plans. Neferefre ascended the throne, taking the name Raneferef, which means Ra is his beauty. Yet, his time as the ruler of the lands was tragically short. Historians debate the exact length, but most estimates place his reign at only a few years, perhaps 3 to 5, maybe even less. This is why when we look for his legacy, we don't find records of major wars, sweeping legal reforms, or significant political shifts. It's not because he was an ineffective ruler or lacked ambition. It's simply because he ran out of time. His reign was a brief flicker in the long history of Egypt. He was a young man, likely in his early 20s, when he became king, and he died just as suddenly. We don't know the exact cause of his death, but evidence from his mummy suggests he died unexpectedly. Before he could truly make his mark, before he could implement his own policies or lead armies, his story was cut short. His reign is a stark reminder that even for a pharaoh considered a living god, life was fragile and unpredictable. He had all the power and resources of a great kingdom at his fingertips, but the one thing he couldn't control was time itself. The most famous and poignant symbol of Neferefre's short life is his pyramid. Every pharaoh began planning their eternal home, their pyramid complex, almost as soon as they took the throne. Neferefre chose a site at Abuser, the royal necropolis of the 5th dynasty, right next to the pyramids of his father and grandfather. Construction began, the foundations were laid, and the core of the pyramid started to rise. This was meant to be his stairway to heaven, his machine for resurrection that would ensure his eternal life among the gods. But then, he died. Suddenly, the project came to a grinding halt. The pyramid was nowhere near complete. It was just a low square base, a mere stump of what it was intended to be. Faced with the unexpected death of their king, the officials had to make a practical decision. There was no time to finish the Grand Pyramid. Instead, they quickly converted the unfinished base into a structure that looked more like a mastaba, a flat-roofed rectangular tomb. They filled the core with rubble, cast it with limestone, and flattened the top. It was a pragmatic solution. The priority wasn't architectural perfection. It was ensuring the king had a proper tomb for his burial and that his mortuary cult could begin. This unfinished pyramid, as it's known today, stands as a powerful and visible testament to a life and a reign cut short. It's a monument not to what was, but to what could have been. Even in death, Neferefre's legacy remained tied to the dominant ideology of his time, the solar cult. The 5th dynasty was defined by its devotion to the sun god Ra. Kings built not only pyramids but also elaborate solar temples dedicated to Ra, separate from their own mortuary complexes. These temples were centers of religious and economic power. Although Neferefre didn't have time to build his own sun temple, his identity as a solar king was paramount. After his hasty burial, his successors, including his brother Nuser-ini, made sure his mortuary cult was established and maintained. They completed his mortuary temple next to the unfinished pyramid, decorating it with reliefs and statues. This wasn't just about honoring a deceased brother. It was about dynastic legitimacy and stability. By ensuring Neferefre's cult continued, they were reinforcing the divine order and the unbroken line of succession. The system, the powerful machinery of the Egyptian state and its religious institutions, proved to be stronger than the life of a single king. The priests continued their rituals, the offerings were made, and the divine nature of the kingship was upheld. Neferefre's cult was maintained for decades, showing that even a king with an unfinished reign was a vital link in the dynastic chain. The ideology survived him, proving that the institution was more resilient than the individual. So, how is Neferefre remembered? He's a king defined by what he couldn't finish. His name is forever linked to his unfinished pyramid, a short reign, and a legacy of unfulfilled potential. He represents a moment in Egyptian history where everything could have gone wrong. The sudden death of a young king with no clear heir could have sparked a succession crisis, civil unrest, or a breakdown in central authority. It was a moment of pause, a test of the system his father and grandfather had so carefully built. But Egypt didn't fall. The transition of power was swift and smooth. His brother took the throne, the administration continued to function, and the kingdom remained stable. Neferefre's death forced the Egyptian state to adapt, and it did so with remarkable efficiency. This is why his story is so important. Neferefre didn't shape his age with grand monuments or long-lasting reforms. Instead, his absence, his sudden departure from the world stage, tested the very foundations of the Fifth Dynasty. And the dynasty endured. His story proves that even the most powerful royal families are dependent on the simple, human factor of time. It shows that kingship is not guaranteed by blood alone. It requires life and opportunity, and perhaps most importantly, it demonstrates that for the ancient Egyptians, the stability of the state and the continuity of their civilization mattered more than any single monument or any single king. Even the shortest reigns can reveal the deepest truths about a civilization's strength and resilience. Thanks so much for watching. If you're fascinated by the hidden stories of ancient Egypt, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. We'll see you in the next one.